Now, on the eve of the State of the Nation address, pertinent questions and expectations arrive. Tonight, we have our own State of the Nation assessment. We will pick one of the aspects that is most important and touches on the majority of us. Now, this is the economy. Things are not good. The spending power of majority of us has been grossly eroded by the hard economic times. Money is scarce, if not unavailable. Majority would then argue they are worse off than they were a year ago. But the government says otherwise, and they are backing their position with figures they say are factual. And that's exactly where we begin tonight. This will be my guest tonight, but let's begin with the rate of inflation, because inflation is down to levels only recorded 17 years ago, battling or settling at about 2.7%. What this means is that the rate of increase of prices over a given period is lowest in close to 2 decades. Then there is the dollar reserve, something that has stabilized the shilling against major currencies and others, including the dollar, the euro, and the pound. For the past few months, the shillings has been trading at between 128 and 130 per US dollars, and from an unprecedented high of 160. Let's move away from that, because public debt ratio to the GDP is also down significantly, especially after the settling of the Eurobond, now at 65.5%. I'll be telling you all about this, down from a near 80%, where every 8 shillings we used to collect out of every 10 shillings would then go to the payment of our outstanding debt. Suffice to say, in 2010, we were at 46% to the GDP. Then we were ranked low-risk country. All right, so that's where we are, 2024. I'll be telling you also about that. We have to admit that the reduction in the cost of public debt remains a combination of so many factors, but still, it's down. However, we are still graded as high-risk debt distressed country, a position we occupied back in the year 2010. You can see that Kenya is set for another review, but we will likely just remain at the high-risk debt distressed country. So let's look at our public debt profile, right? Our public debt profile, because the 48.8% of the public debt is external, while 51.2% is domestic debt. It is said that the domestic lenders make a cool 2 billion shillings monthly from the public. No wonder they prefer lending to the government and not you and I, making credit unreachable to many, and it's about 14% average interest in any commercial bank you want to borrow from. So the external debt is largely owed to multinational bilateral creditors on concession terms, right? So let's look at the books of account, because this is important. Multilaterals are owed 53.9%, bilateral 22.4%, and commercial loans stand at 23.7%. I'd like to clarify that, because if you look at the total from 2010, they've actually been decreasing, but this is what essentially we owe. Multilaterals 53, bilaterals 22, and commercial at 23.7%. But then, how much does the government owe in pending bills? And this is an elephant, or the elephant in the room, because it's 1 trillion shillings. And this, we hold, is where the secret lies. I will explain. It's become more expensive now to afford commodities than it was in the last 1 year. For example, someone could easily afford a packet of unga at 230 shillings. Now, it's difficult to afford the same packet, even though the price of basic commodities have reduced significantly, by some places more than half. So it has become impossible for many to afford many basic commodities today, even with that reduction in the cost. Reason is because there is no money in circulation. Now, if the government is to begin somewhere, then they will have to sort out the liquidity issue. Now, money will begin circulating, and the purchasing power will definitely be strengthened. You and I are just broke because there is no money in circulation. 1 trillion is enough to spur this economy, and that's a good place for the government to begin and a good place for us to begin tonight. Kemi Junga across all social media platforms. Let's take a look at our headlines.